celebration of SBDC Day, we're going to answer all the burning questions that you have. What's up, everybody? My name is Josh from the University of Laverne Small Business Development Center, and welcome to the SBDC podcast. Here at the SBDC, we help small businesses start and grow with free one-on-one consulting and free business resources just like this episode. You can see all the links and the resources that are mentioned in this episode down in the show notes below. So yesterday was 3/20, and that means Happy SBDC Day. So in celebration of all the great things that SBDCs have done to help small businesses in the community, we're going to be answering all those burning questions that you might have. We've scoured the internet and we've searched on social media, YouTube. We asked a couple of questions, and here are some of the questions that we have. But before we begin, why don't you check out our training, on-demand training library at lavernesbdc.learnworlds.com for all the practical and informative courses that we have to start or run your small business. So we have all kinds of courses from business planning, forms of ownership, figuring out your financial projections, and filing all kinds of licenses and permits to get your business up and running. And we're going to talk about some of these resources a little bit later in the episode, but if you're looking to get started or you need help growing your business, check out the free training library. All right, first question that we have was from an SBDC client that gave us a call a few days ago. And their question is, I'm looking for funding to grow my business. They're looking to get a grant, but they're not sure how to search for them, and they don't really want to take out a loan for their business. So that's a question we get a lot, and most of the time, a lot of small business owners have been spoiled by grants, especially during COVID. Everybody thinks there's free money out there, and that's really not the case anymore. Really, the reality is that grants are usually now for research and technology and for a lot of nonprofits. So we actually do have a blog post about this. Let's take a look at grants. And so we have one about the truth about grants, what grants actually do, but we do have this blog post on funding your startup, and right down here we have about grants. And a lot of times people think there's free money, and most of the time it's for specific things like research and technology. So a couple of resources that you can use to find out if there is a grant out there for you is to check out the SBIR.gov, and this is mostly going to be for the research and technology part of it. So if you are looking to get funding from the government, and you are researching a specific topic or developing a specific technology, there are grants here that you can apply for different things and different subject and topics. But if you're a small business, there is only one other thing that you might be able to do, and that's searching grants.gov. And like I said before, grants.gov and grants in general are usually going to be for technology, research, or nonprofits, and you're not guaranteed to find anything. You might be able to use somebody like a grant writer or somebody who researches grants as a profession, but for the most part, you're really not going to be able to find anything to start up or grow a business. It's usually for a specific subject like research or anything like that for the government. So we can look up, we'll just use health as an example. We can search this, and really it's going to be a lot of research related stuff. So healthcare models, integrated health strengthening activities, A lot of this stuff is very research based. I mean, we can narrow it down by grants, and we can narrow it down by, let's see, I believe there is small business here. Here we go, small businesses. And again, it's still going to be more of research and pilot programs, and not something that anybody would be able to use for growing their business. And so this is where you have to be real with yourself and real with your business. A lot of people don't like taking out debt or a loan or something like that for financing their business or growing their business. And in this case, this is where you can use something like another funding instrument, such as a so bootstrapping or some kind of line of credit. In fact, we actually do have a guide on lines of credit. And so we have an entire guide on how lines of credit work, mostly like a credit card. And so you'll be able to actually figure out how you can access this funding and what it takes to actually get a line of credit and use it for your business. But again, just because you don't want to take out a loan or you think there might be a grant available doesn't necessarily mean that you are able to use it or it's available to your kind of business. So you want to make sure that you can speak with somebody like us here at the University of Laverne SBDC and get all of the options that you need for your business and figure out what your financial situation is so you can actually utilize any of those kind of funding options. Alrighty. So the next one is an anonymous question that we got on our from I believe it is a client, and they said, I want to get into government contracting, but I have no idea where to start. They've signed up for SAM, but they don't know where to go from there. I need help. So government contracting is a really big thing that a lot of people are getting into, and for the most part, a lot of people don't know how to start up. And so what they need to understand is they need to go through a few steps. The fire truck is coming. Lovely doing everything live. But what we need to start out with is figuring out spend research and figuring out what the government is actually going to buy. Just because you have a business and you want to get into government contracting doesn't mean you actually can. The government will buy certain things or procure certain services from small businesses when they can. And so what you want to do is you want to be able to understand what the government is going to buy. So we do have a guide here on harnessing spend research. Basically what this is that figuring out how to research what the government buys so you can align that with what your business sells or what services you offer and figure out if the government is actually purchasing that to a sustainable level to actually use it as a line of business. Then the next thing you'll need to understand after you figure out what the government is buying from the federal side and even the state side with California, you need to understand where you can actually search for specific kinds of funding or contracting opportunities. And so again, we have our guide here for free contracting search resources for government contracting. And so this particular person who was looking for help, they had already signed up for SAM and they could actually use sam.gov to search for particular contracts in their kind of business. But there are other contracting places that you can actually go. The state of California has their own contracting portal called Cali Procure. The city of Los Angeles and the county of Los Angeles has Ramp LA. And then there are other state and local governments like cities and counties that will actually contract through their own websites and their third-party portals for them to put out contracting RFPs or contracting opportunities. So once you find an opportunity that you like, the next thing is you need to understand what exactly that they're asking for. And that's actually looking through the RFP, looking through that solicitation and figuring out, hey, what do they need? Can you fulfill it? And how to actually apply. And a lot of this stuff is really going to be looking through the paperwork, looking through that RFP and actually understanding. If you need help with that, we do have a consultant who will be able to help you kind of break it down and figure out what they're actually asking for, and is it something that you can do as a small business. Then once all that's done, then it's actually applying, and in the RFP, you can actually see that there are rules and ways to submit. It gives you everything that you would need to submit to the agency. And so all you really need to do is read those RFPs to make sure you know what you're supposed to be submitting. And a lot of the stuff is pretty straightforward. They give you forms, they give you instructions on how to submit things. There may be some kind of pre-bid conference in which they'll ask questions or answer questions from the bidders or the prospective bidders. There might be a question and answer period where you can actually see what questions that people are asking and then get more information about the bid before you actually start bidding and submitting the bid for the contract. So a lot of that stuff is in the RFP. It just needs to be, really needs to be this whole kind of process when it comes to government contracting. Don't expect to get into government contracting and win your first contract on your first bid. It's probably not going to happen. But having that process and figuring out how to do the entire contracting process is a really good way to get into government contracting and actually understanding how to actually make that a line of business for your small business. So that's a good question. Next question is from an SBDC client who gave us a call. He said, "Hi, I want some startup funding. I don't want to use my personal funds, of course. They're requesting funding for trading capital investments and related to homes and other looks like securities and things like that. And then they want to avoid any problems." So a lot of people want to do this. They want to be able to basically invest without using their own money. It's not really a thing for businesses in general. And so some small businesses have the idea that they can start not gambling, but basically risking other people's money for their business without having the capital themselves. Again, that's not really a thing, but for this particular instance, the SBA doesn't do that. So if we go to our Code of Federal Regulations, this is going to be on SBA loans. And like I said, you're really going to have trouble finding what SBA loans will actually fund. And so this is a list of all the SBA loan ineligible activities and businesses for SBA loans. So if we go all the way down, the last thing is going to be speculative businesses. And it says such as oil wildcatting, which is not really a thing anymore, or at least not in California. But speculative businesses are anything using investments or kinds of gambling or anything that you are not guaranteed an actual income from. So flipping homes is another kind of business that SBA loans will not cover if it's speculative. So what you would want to do is you would want to understand what your financial situation is, and you may have to save up some money or look at other investors who may be able to help you with a particular investment. But some kinds of commercial loans might be able to do that for you. But again, we're talking about a loan or something else that the SBA will not cover. So again, this is like the other question, the first question that we had is you have to understand your financial situation. You have to understand how much money that you're going to be making and what the uh, kind of return on investment a bank will see so that they can actually fund your request. And again, it may not happen, but there are, like I said, other ways of funding an investment. So again, we have our ways to fund either a startup or some kind of business. And so if you're looking to do that, here are 5 quick ways that you can identify and figure out if that funding is right for you. So, like I said, partners, friends and family, bootstrapping your own kind of investment, and then we have some HELOCs or other crowdfunding. And in crowdfunding, you can actually do that. There is something called equity crowdfunding, in which you can take a lot of other people into a specific investment, but you have to pay them back. And so it is regulated by the SEC, but you can actually check to see how that actually works and what regulations there are. You can check out different kinds of portals. There are providers who will actually do this for you. Um, and there are legitimate equity crowdfunding places that you can actually use for your business. And so that is an option that you can use. Alrighty. So those are 3 kind of in-depth questions, but we actually have 3 more kind of rapid fire. They're all about seller's permits. So let's take a look at the first one. So first one is from YouTube. And this question is, I want to resell on eBay and sell to another person who sells on eBay, but I have no idea what the reseller code is. And so again, this is for a reseller's permit or a seller's permit in the state of California. So if you are a seller of any kind of product, you're going to get a seller's permit, and that seller's permit number is what you're going to be using to purchase wholesale and tax-free. So if you're buying wholesale, you'll need this particular number and have a resale certificate so you can give it to your supplier and they won't charge you tax. And so if you are the supplier and you're selling to other people, you'll need that particular code so that you can sell to them without charging sales tax, and you actually have that to look back on. If you're not sure if this person has a seller's permit, what you can do is you can actually check their seller's permit number. So we can go down here, we can put down seller's permit, and you can put in the number for them to access so that you can get verification on their seller's permit number if needed. Question number 2 about the seller's permit. They're asking if they register an LLC in Wyoming, will they need a seller's certificate in only that state, or do they have to register in all states so they can source other products too? So that's in Wyoming. Not really sure about the laws in Wyoming, but if you were here in California, you'll need a seller's permit for any sales tax that you need to get from a customer. So if you sell a product in California, you'll need to have that seller's permit number to take tax, and you have to have one in the state of California. There are some places that may not be charging sales tax, but for the most part, there is a Supreme Court decision called South Dakota versus Wayfair And this basically puts out the guidelines on how sales tax is remitted in all states, specifically for like e-commerce. But if you're not really sure where you're going to be taking sales tax or how you're going to be taking sales tax, this is basically the decision that was used wherever you're at in any state. They'll probably point to this, but you'll want to check with the state where the business resides in to understand what you have to do to take in sales tax. You can check with the local SBDC in your area if it's not in California to understand where this information is and how to actually take tax for your business. And then our last rapid fire question is going to be, if I do my own taxes, will I still be able to sign up, or will I still need to sign up for a seller's permit? And the answer is yes. If you are a sole proprietorship, you do your own taxes, you'll still need to take sales tax as part of selling a product, but you'll need to understand what kind of taxes you're going to need to take based on your industry. And so if you go to the CDTFA, or the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration here in the state of California, if you go to cdtfa.ca.gov, we have tax resources, and there's a nifty guide for industry and tax. And so depending on what industry you're in or what kind of products you sell, there are loads of guides for how to apply sales tax, what is sales tax, and then certain excise taxes. And so the difference between a sales tax and an excise tax: sales tax is what you apply to a product. So let's just take this brewer and distributor. And so if we go here and we go to ingredients, these are all the kinds of things that you'll need to look at for sales tax. And so all of these little ingredients here are not subject to sales tax, but raw materials may be. And so you can use these guides for anything. If we go back, so gig economy here, if you're a pop-up restaurant, caterer, photographer, they have different guides for that. If we look at somebody who sells a product, say photography, this is mostly a service business. But if you look at the resources, you will have to use sales tax if you're providing a specific physical product, like the photographs for a photographer. The service is non-taxable, but the actual photographs will be taxed at some point, or some kind of physical media or tangible property. So you can check out all these guides for the sales tax, but on this side you can see the excise taxes. And excise taxes are on specific kinds of products, so cigarettes, batteries, lumber products, tires, things like that. There are specific kinds of excise taxes. So if you're a gas station, you're an automotive that deals with tires, or you're a storefront that deals specifically with like cigarettes or electronic cigarettes, you'll want to take a look at that stuff here to see what is taxed, how it's taxed, and what you'll need to pay percentage based on what you're selling. And so that's pretty much it for all of the taxes and the sales tax stuff. So like I said, you can take a look at the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration if you're looking at anything sales tax related. And then we also have our guides at lavernespdc.learnworlds.com. So you can check out all of the guides that we have: setting up a seller's permit, getting a business license, and even figuring out whether or not your business is a viable idea before you actually start up. Alrighty, So that's our first Q&A episode for our newest podcast. If you have any questions that you want answered, you can let us know down in the comments below, and we can answer those questions in our next Q&A episode. Make sure you check out our Learn Worlds training library that will be linked down below to learn about all the topics that we shared today. But if you found this episode valuable, hit that like and share button and share it with all of your small business friends and other small business owners. It really helps us to reach all the small businesses that may find a need to start or grow their business. But if you want to see more episodes of this podcast, check out our playlist in the description down below, or find us on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can get notifications on when a new episode premieres. But I'm Josh from the University of Laverne Small Business Development Center, and we'll see you in the next episode.